Welcome back to the Hip Chronicles, Episode 2, No Pain, No Clue, The Silent Hip Saga. My dear friend Wendy is here to share her hip replacement story that starts with no pain, a mysterious limp everyone else noticed, and a sharp young gym employee who helped change everything. Her journey is full of denial, determination, funny moments, and deep admiration for these amazing bodies we live in. I'm thrilled she's here, so let's get started. Welcome to the Youthful Older Yogi podcast. I'm MJ Waddell, your yogi host and founder of Share Yoga. I've been practicing, teaching, and loving yoga for over 25 years. I'm an advocate of movement, creativity, and staying healthy in mind and body in the prime time of your life. It's never too late to start, and there's a lot of healthy years ahead. So let's start now. Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning into the Youthful Older Yogi. I'm MJ Waddell, the creative founder of Share Yoga and your host for this podcast. I'm so glad you're here today. This is part 2 of the Hip Chronicles. If you haven't listened to the past episode, that is episode 1. And if you haven't listened, I'm about to get 2 new hips this summer. So I'm doing a whole mini series on my hips and the journey. But today I have a guest that there was a fortunate stroke of serendipity that I was on Facebook and I saw that a longtime friend of mine, she's been in and out of my life. Her name is Wendy Lopez-Swiatek. She's been in and out of my life since 7th grade. And just by a stroke of good luck, I saw that she just had a hip replacement. So we reconnected, talked for a couple hours, and I just knew that she had to be on episode 2 of the Hip Chronicles so she can share her story and we can help others that might have to go through this in the future. So episode 2 is called No Pain, No Clue, The Silent Hip Saga. And this is based on Wendy's story. And just a little bit about Wendy. She was a competitive athlete in both swimming and field hockey. And she has been one of our strong United States Postal Service mail carriers for 36 years. She recently retired a couple years ago. And she's just a really cool human. And I'm proud to say that we've reconnected as friends. So Wendy, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
So welcome. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So let's just start from the beginning and how it all began. And you told me the story about the limp. So can you just tell us a little bit about how that happened, the limp?
Sure. So probably, I'm going to say 5 years ago. So 3 years before I retired, my coworkers started going, "Hey, like, what's going on? You're limping." And I'm like, "I'm fine. There's no problem here." I'm just totally clueless. I think that over time, the limp just kind of came on in a slow way and I wasn't noticing it. So I just put it out of my mind and kept rolling because I didn't have a lot of pain. Then after I retired, so this is 2 years ago, I did have pain, but only at night when I was sleeping and I would roll over onto my left side. And still in denial that it could be my hip. I was coming up with all these other, it's a muscle, it's this, it's that. I didn't want it to be anything, like a hip replacement. So I went along my merry way. And then the way that I wound up getting help for this is kind of weird, but I joined a gym. I decided I was going to start lifting weights. And there was a 21-year-old intake membership guy at the gym who was really cute and could have been my kid and was very concerned about how I was going to use the gym, what my goals were, wanted to know my assets, wanted to know if I had any issues. So I told him I did have one issue, my hip. It was a little wonky. And he said, "So have you pursued this? Have you gotten x-rays? Do you have it, an orthopedic specialist?" And I go, "No, I'm good." And he said, "No, really." I'm like, "Ooh, okay, I'm getting bottom line by this whippersnapper, He goes, "Really, you should look into that because you're not going to be able to go forth in a real, carefree way. You're going to be, second guessing yourself and wondering what's going on. So I went and I found a specialist. My stepmom had actually had her hip replaced. She's 80 years old. She just had it replaced in the fall. And she really liked this surgeon. I thought, okay, I'll go check her out. But I'm 64. This is not a time for a hip replacement. That's when you're 80, right? So I go in thinking everything's going to be fine. They take the x-rays. She comes back in and says, okay, I think your hip is a mess. It's bone on bone, everything I didn't want to hear.
Yeah, it's well, same.
Shocked.
Yes, shocked. And I think it's common for many people, especially women, to deny or just go about their merry way, as you say. And it's like, it's okay. Like, I thought I'd pulled a groin muscle, literally. And
Exactly.
I didn't even fathom. And then as it got worse, and then I went down the rabbit hole. But I think denial is like really, and just as simple as it was painful for you at night. I mean, literally just that is how
It's like, that's no biggie. That's only 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
What do I care? Most of the time, I really was fine, except limping.
Yeah.
According to others.
I know, right?
Still in denial that I limp.
Yeah, I just was up home last week to meet with my surgeon. And when I was walking up to meet my dad, we were having lunch. He's like, oh, I can see you're limping. I'm like, I'm not limping.
Exactly. So what's wrong with these people?
No, what are you talking about?
What up?
He has 2 hip replacements too. So,
okay.
I wanted to pop in and thank you for listening to the Youthful Older Yogi. I love bringing you great guests, education, and ways to stay youthful in mind and body. If you love the show and want to help me make it even better, please consider becoming a supporter. You get to choose how much and how often you give, and there's no commitment. And remember, I donate a portion of every dollar I receive to charity. For 2025, I've chosen United Nations World Food Program. Just click the support button in the show notes. And just as helpful is sharing the show with others. Thank you again so much for listening. And now let's get back to the podcast.
So you're at the doctor's office and you get this diagnosis. And what were your initial type of feeling or reaction to that?
Honestly, it was flat out denial. I thought they brought the wrong x-ray in. That wasn't my x-ray, even though the x-ray room was right across it's in the same building, right across the hall. Went in, they took my x-ray and brought me right back. And within 5 minutes, there was my x-ray. But that wasn't my x-ray, according to me.
Right. Yeah. I think it's very
denial.
Mm-hmm. And just like you said, this is for 80-year-olds. It's not for 64-year-olds. And which actually, there's a lot of people getting them in their 50s. And if, and even younger. So it's not
us.
Not me.
That's other 50-year-olds, right? Yeah, I was in total denial. And I said to the woman, well, she said, this is not good. You must be on a ton of pain meds. I said, I'm on nothing. I'm not in that kind of pain. And she said, well, this surgery is usually led by the patient's pain level. And I said, okay, I guess I'm not there yet. She said, no, this is really bad. You really need to do this soon because you're going to throw off your knees, your back, your body mechanics. You really seriously need to get over yourself and do this. So
yeah. I also thought when it happened to me and was diagnosed, this just happened to me diagnosed in January, I felt a bit of shame because in the wellness industry, I've been teaching aerobics and dancing and yoga and just promoting healthy lifestyle living. And there's kind of this stigma that you always have to appear healthy, which, I appeared healthy. It's just my bones.
You are healthy.
Yeah, I am. It's just my inside, my bones were like, so it's like, but I'm just, the emotions that you have when you have to get a diagnosis, that's just completely surprising.
Because we think we're vital, healthy people. And then all of a sudden, to me, I go to this place of I'm defective or I did something wrong. How did I create this? And people have said that to me. How did you do this to yourself? Like,
I know.
I actually saw a nurse today. Today is the 2-week anniversary of my surgery, and I saw my physical therapist and I saw the nurse, and I talked to her about this. I said, did I create this by all my physical activity, or would this have happened eventually? And she said it probably would have happened eventually, but it is true. When you're active, there's more friction and stuff going on there. If you were a couch potato and your favorite thing to do was knit and read, this wouldn't be happening to you right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, not that she was blaming me at all, but she explained to me that there's two things. There's what's happening in the hip and also how you roll in the world.
Right. And they call it wear and tear. That's what they call it. Oh, it's a wear and tear situation. And
Yeah.
some people, it can be hereditary also. And it also can just happen for no reason, whether you've been active or not. It can just,
Or an injury.
yeah, or an injury or a fall, the cartilage just disintegrates. So
Yeah.
there is, yes, but I understand feeling like, did I do something wrong? And it's like, well, I kind of knew, like, I thought for me it might have happened earlier because I've been dancing and pounding and,
I know you have, because I saw you when you were 10 years old in a dance competition. I think you were tap dancing.
yeah,
And I think, over time, that kind of, that's really impactful on your body
it's
in good ways, and also sometimes to your detriment,
yeah, you're an athlete, whether you're a swimmer, hockey player, walking for 36 years. Holy crap, are you kidding? That's like every day you walk like 14 miles a day, right, on your route.
I did, yeah. And then during COVID, I was bored because my hours were cut back,
Mm-hmm.
and my brother's an ultra marathon runner. And so I said, I'd really like to do a half marathon. I've always loved to run. I started jogging, remember in the 70s, it was that big
Yeah.
jogging trend. I was all about it. I always loved to run. Stopped, for a good part of my life. But then in COVID was like, here we go. He got me a watch. He would send me workouts. He could track, and see how my cadence was and all this stuff. And I was like super into it. I never did the half marathon. But I think that training that I was doing probably, did not help my hip situation, but I didn't know I had a hip situation.
Yeah. And
So that could have been a factor too. But in any event, the x-ray was what it was. I could deny all I wanted. And, the bottom line was, she said, if you put this off, it will be to your detriment. It's gonna have other effects on your body that you don't want. So I was like, okay. So that was August. And I said, how about April? And she said, that's okay. Because I wanted to recover without ice and all that kind of stuff. So, we booked the appointment for April 22nd, 2025. It seems a really long way away. And as I'm going along, I'm like, I don't need this. But as it got closer, February, March, I was really hurting. So then it was like, okay, now I get it. Now it will bring me some relief. Before it was like, why would I do this if I'm not in agony?
Yeah.
So the timing worked out really well. But I did need those months to wrap my mind around it. I really did.
Well, I want to first go back to what the weird things that people say, like, how did you do this to, like I literally, like, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I just decided it would be,
Yeah.
a fun hobby to destroy my cartilage, It is weird what people say.
Yeah. Can you tell the listeners, the story about, I think it was the day of your surgery or the day before your surgery, about your neighbor, what your neighbor said?
So it was the day before my surgery. It was the night before my surgery. My surgery was at 7 a.m. I had to go to the hospital at 5:45. So this was about 8 o'clock on a Monday night. My surgery was early Tuesday morning. And my neighbor, God bless her, said, hey, I've got a commode, which is a great thing that you put over your toilet seat, and it has handles, because it really is hard getting,
Right.
going from standing to sitting
Right.
was the hardest part for me. So I didn't realize at the time what a great gift that this was for her to lend this to me. And she also lent me a walker. And she and her husband had both had hip surgeries. So she relayed her experience, which was different than his. And I was like, okay, everybody's experience is different. Thank you very much. I'm going to be on my way. And then somehow, before I got out the door, she managed to tell me that her best friend's husband actually died because of a hip replacement. I did not ask for details. I don't know if he died on the table or shortly after, but it was the hip replacement that killed the guy. I'm like, I'm done. I was so anxious to begin with, but like, so that's one side of the spectrum. The other is everybody saying it's a walk in the park. You're going to be up and dancing in a week. And that has not been true for me too. So once people find out that you're having a hip replacement, the stories are going to start coming in. You're part of a new like club.
Yep.
And I solicited stories in the beginning, and towards the end it's like, I don't want to hear your story.
Yes.
Because if it's super good and you're feeling great after a week and I don't, now I'm going to feel like I need to compete with that in my mind. That's just how I am. I want to be the best patient. I want to have the best recovery. Well, some things are out of your control.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have to do what they tell you to do, nothing more, nothing less. Because if you try and be a A+ recovery patient and you do 20 reps instead of 10, you can hurt yourself. But
Right. Yeah.
I just be ready for people to come at you with every kind of bizarre story under the sun. And it's like, oh my God.
They already have. They already have.
I know. It's going to get worse.
And I always say, I teach a yoga class at a 55 and over community, and they know, and so they're kind of following me. And I said today or Monday when I taught yesterday, I said, okay, I saw my surgeon. My surgeon said, and I said, please hold all your gasping.
Exactly.
I said, hold all your gasping. I'm a good candidate to have both done at once. And they went,
oh.
And I said, do not share any stories with me. I'm in a positive mindset. And they just, one lady came up to me after I think she was the only one that in the class that day that had a hip replacement. And she said all positive things. But it's like, everybody's different. Everybody's different. So that's, it is funny though.
But you're going to be part of the club.
Yeah. All right. I'll come into the club. So
everything with a grain of salt, right?
Correct. So let's talk about, I know you said you're anxious as anyone would be. I'm anxious I have a tentative date set for June 26th. That's tentative. So let's talk about the anxiety, if you don't mind, talking about what your fears and anxiety were pre-surgery.
I'm anxious with medical stuff to begin with. I've had surgery before. I think the major anxieties were, am I going to get a blood clot? Am I going to get some sort of infection? Is something going to go wrong? And just I get very claustrophobic in a hospital. When they put in the IV, I want to rip it out and run. I'm one of those people. So how am I going to manage my feelings, my emotions, my anxiety just pre-surgery? Those were the big things for me.
Mm-hmm. And how did you deal with them? Did you do any type of breathing? Did you do any type of screaming? Did you do any type of crying? How did you cope?
So prior to it, I had booked myself a vacation so that when I looked at the calendar, I booked myself, a week and a half in advance. So I would have something on the calendar to look forward to, and it was a relaxing beach vacation. Because I knew that if I was just looking at the calendar and I saw surgery, my anxiety, I would just live every day with that being, the next thing that I was doing. So I booked a nice vacation, and one of the people that I was staying with in Florida had a very funny story about being in the pre-op before getting her knee replaced, where the chaplain came in and said, can I do anything for you? And she and her husband said, we have a good case of the nerves here. And so I can't remember if it was Mary or her husband said, let's sing. And so the chaplain said, what do you want to sing? So they're in the pre-op going day by day. So music is a way for me, if I make my life into some sort of a musical, that helps me. So I've had theme songs all through this. So my cousin told me you've got to have Take It Easy by the Eagles on sound, it's just remember to relax. A lot of people will do like the real relaxing kind of meditative music. That gets me on edge. That doesn't relax me. So I need Steely Dan, yacht rock. So I was listening to a lot of that. Didn't help me in the pre-op. I was really on edge, but you know what helped me was my ability to tell the staff there, the hospital staff, where I was at. And like you said, did you scream? Did you cry? Inside, I was, but I also let them know I'm not comfortable right now. And they would talk to me and they would, kind of just like hold my hand, and they got me through it.
Oh, that's great.
They
No,
were excellent. They were so helpful.
as they should be. I mean, I listen, no amount of meditation and deep breathing is going to calm my nerves when I'm in there and they're about to slice open my hip
There
and
you go.
drill into my bone. And when I think about all of it, I have different thoughts about it. I think it's miraculous that medicine has advanced this much, and I'm going to be in some relief and kind of back to normal,
Yes.
quote unquote normal. But then
Right.
it's, oh my God, they are assaulting my body. They're literally, you're under the knife. I mean, they say it, and I've only had a tonsillectomy, so that's the only type of surgery I've ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, I overthink a lot, and I'm lying there in my gown with the IV in my arm going, I think I told you this, I'm going to a knife fight right now and I'm going to lose. And when I really thought what they're going to do, they're going to dislocate my hip, they're going to cut the hip joint out. I mean, it's pretty gruesome. But I must say, I went to a pre-op class. They had one at Rochester General Hospital where I had it done, and it was informative without being overly like gruesome. They just kind of told me what to expect, some things that I didn't know. It was all good information. So I tried to keep that in my head when I was in the pre-op, like, yeah, this is what they told me. They told me exactly what the steps were going to be. I knew what was happening next. And like rationally, that helped me. But inside, I was like, I'm going to run right now. I'll do this at a later time.
Yeah. I have to remember that I'm going to ask my surgeon to save me a piece of my bone so I can have it as a memento, a piece of my hip.
You know what's funny? One of my neighbors did ask for that and they wouldn't let her have it. She
Well,
goes, that's my hip. And they said, but it's biohazard. She goes, no, it's not, but they wouldn't give it to her. But you might be able to charm them.
we'll see. I'm going to, I'm
I
gonna,
think that would be really cool.
I did too. It's like also,
would.
it's a teaching tool, like for, I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna,
Good luck. Let me know.
or if you find any of my destroyed cartilage, could you just keep it for me? I'll put it in a little bottle, like a scientist information hide.
When you're a little kid and your teeth fall out, didn't you keep them?
Yeah.
I kept up my teeth. Yeah. I probably still have them.
Yeah.
It's like, that's mine.
Yeah, my body. Okay, so today, right before we started to film this, you said it's been 2 weeks now, and you said today was a good day. So let's go to the post surgery. It's been 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And what made today a good day?
Lots of things. I got my staples removed, and I felt kind of like Herman Munster, or I don't know, just having. It was a little gruesome. I could look at it. It was nothing bad, but I could feel the staples in there. So when the nurse was taking them out, and that did not hurt at all. I was singing actually a Staples, what is it? The Staples family song or something. I'll Take You There. The Staples Singers or whatever.
Yeah.
When she was taking them out, I had my theme music going. But that was a relief. That felt like a milestone. My PT came over. It was my first walk outside with her because the weather hasn't been real great. And I used a cane and not a walker. And it was comfortable. We didn't walk for long, but I could see myself getting my independence back. And because my left hip is the one that they replaced, by next week. So at 3 weeks, you usually have an appointment with a post surgery appointment with your surgeon. And if it's your left hip, they can usually release you to drive. So I just felt like today was a big milestone. I overdid it last night. I had a book club meeting at my house, which I tidied up for. They brought all the food. They knew what was going on. But the funniest thing was, I mean, I overextended yesterday and I woke up not feeling great. But at the book club, I had my cane. And we realized that the cane changed my entire identity and personality. I was using the cane like a judge, like banging with their gavel. I'm like, let's get back to what we were talking about. And I'm poking people with my cane. So we call it big cane energy. So it's like graduating from the walker to the cane.
Yes.
There's so much I don't know, it's such a relief for me.
Well, you're a very independent, active person. I know that's going to be a hard thing for me too, is depending on people and having to stay still for a while.
Yeah. And the walker, I'm sorry, it was like I was 90 years old all of a sudden. Nothing against 90-year-olds, but I did go over to see my mom. She's 94. She's at assisted living, and my son drove me over there just so I could say hi to her. And I come in with the walker, and my son says, we could get you a room here, I'm like, all right, ease up, buddy. Then we go upstairs and see my mom, and she's like, oh my God, you fit right in. So it's like, I need to lose this walker. This is not good. This is not good for my image, So I went to the cane. Cane is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Canes are cool. It can be.
So that's why it was a great day today. Walking outside with a cane without staples. And I'm telling you, a week ago, I was not feeling the love for what I had done. It was a tough couple the first week. Not a walk in the park. Not horrible, pain-wise, just extremely awkward.
Well,
and really uncomfortable at night.
Yeah, you can't flex or extend for a while just to, it's so my God.
So it depends too on if you have posterior or anterior. I had posterior, and the restrictions are greater and for a longer period of time. Mm-hmm. I guess there's a greater ability for you to dislocate, so you can't cross your legs, you can't bend past 90 degrees, and you can't twist. And that was another one of my anxiety things, like, oh my God, do I really have to be aware of my body motions 24 hours a day, including at night? What if I cross my legs by mistake? What if I do this and that? Dislocation is really rare, I've been told, but they really hammer it into you. So, you put a pillow between your legs and you put bolsters on the side, and, it's a real thing, but it's not likely that you're going to do it. So you don't.
I do that now.
Okay.
I'm already doing that now before I have my hips, because it's really, and I have to get both hips done. Both of mine are really bad. So my quality of living is completely changed because I'm in discomfort all the time. Like when I stand up I'm sitting on a stool right now. I'll stand up and I'll have to pause and make sure I can take it. And then once I start moving, I'm fine. But at night, it's like, I have the pillow between, and it's very uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to change positions. It's just, and so my mental state, I'm not getting great sleep, and I'm always in discomfort. So a few weeks from now, you'll be like new. Like,
if I can sleep through a night without having to readjust like constantly to get comfortable, I really do think my mental state, I'll be sharper and just more positive. So I'm really looking forward to that, because the lack of sleep was what led me to this whole thing, really. Just pain at night.
Yeah. I have no problem sleeping, but now I do, because every time I want to shift, it's like an event.
Yes.
It is. I can't just roll over. It's like I have to use all my upper body strength to turn and get it's bizarre. It's completely bizarre.
I understand. It's an ordeal. It really is. And I talked to a friend of mine who's in my book club last night. I was showing them my scar, and we were comparing notes and, comparing x-rays and bruise pictures and everything else. And he said that regaining sleep was the greatest piece of this. Being able to not have sleep be an ordeal.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking, I think he had his a couple years ago, but the fact that I can even know that that's a possibility and that maybe also I won't limp, because I've been asking them, hey, I was limping for so long, will my walking ever go back to a smooth stride? And they said, yes, it will. I'm like, okay, I'll believe that when I see it. But
Yeah.
that was really cool for me too.
Yeah, I believe one of the things, the odd things that somebody said to me was, "Oh, you're going to have different lengths of legs." I'm like, "Your legs will be different lengths." I'm like,
Wrong.
"No, that's exactly what the surgeon's job is, to make sure my leg length is the same." It's like,
Yes, and if they aren't, some people don't have leg lengths that are the same. The surgeons will correct that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they
know what they're doing.
Accurate. This is what they do.
Yeah.
So I really did have trust in my surgeon. And I'm really looking forward to a complete recovery, but then I have to do it again on the other side.
I know. Well, I have to get both done. Hopefully I can get them both done at once, but we'll see.
If you can, it's great.
Insurance. It's not up to me now. It's up to insurance.
I know. That's unfortunate.
Unfortunate. So, were there any, I want to talk about, as you're recovering, I want to talk about some of the tools and tricks that you've used during your recovery.
Okay.
To help you stay independent. What, besides the walker and the cane, what other little things that people may not know about?
Well, first of all, when you have a walker, make sure that you get a little pouch on the front and or a tray over the top. Because if you just get that standard walker that you see people have, you're going to be hurting if you're trying to bring a cup of coffee or a cereal bowl to the table and you need both hands on that thing. Yeah, that's number one. But my favorite tool was, I don't know if you call it a picker or a claw, but it's a long handle and then has a claw on the bottom and you can pick stuff up off the floor. But most importantly, you can pull your underwear up. Going to the bathroom and getting dressed took forever. So if anybody's going to do this surgery, get this claw thing. I got mine on Amazon. And practice getting your lower half dressed with this thing before your surgery. Because I think there's some technique there. And when you're tired and you're hurting and you're trying to pull up your underwear and you're frustrated and you feel like crying just getting dressed, there is technique involved. I've gotten pretty good at it now, but I should have practiced before my surgery, because I was going to have a mental breakdown. It's like,
I do have one of those.
This sucks.
Yeah, they have the pinchers on the bottom, and people walk the beach here all the time with them and grab trash and stuff. So I have two of them. So I'm actually going to start practicing. That's something I didn't really even consider. So
sit on your bed, your underwear on the floor, your whatever dress, your shorts, and I was like, oh, that's going to be easy. So I never would have thought to practice beforehand. Like that's simple. You just grab it. It's like, oh, hell no.
Yeah. Well, even now, my limited range of motion, I don't wear shoes and socks. I'm in Florida. I usually wear flip flops. But even to put my pants on, I have a technique, because I can't either have to roll all the way back on the bed.
Yep.
And just encourage my leg to come up and get one leg in and then roll back again. So it's like,
I think you're going to do well then, because you've already developed,
comical. Well, I live by myself. There's nobody that can help me. I'm not going to call my landlord. It's like, can you help me put my pants on?
It's very, very humbling. But hey, if that's the worst part of it,
yeah, I know.
We're good, right?
But I've got the claw. So thank you for sharing that. These are things that people don't, I didn't, that's why I'm having you on, because people will, and I hope people don't hesitate to get something quote unquote fixed, or go and have, something taken care of that is fixable, because, even now living with this kind of chronic misery that I've been in for quite a while, I understand how people with chronic pain, how it is just, it's a horrible way to live. And so, and I know, I didn't think in the beginning I had it, but now I'm like, let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. But some people, and I've heard, these are some of the other stories that they've waited and waited and waited and waited. And then surgery didn't go so well because other things kind of cascaded into,
Yeah.
other things that went wrong because they waited too long.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm the biggest scaredy cat in the world. And if I could face it and not even being in tremendous pain and I could pull it off and do it, anybody can. I'm telling you, and the recovery is what it is. You may have some complications, you may not, but it's not tremendously painful.
Right.
They give you meds and you can make your choices. I tried to get off the meds as soon as I could just because I'm not a fan, but there's no shame in using the meds that they give you they say breakthrough pain, to keep breakthrough pain from coming in. Then you have to just make a decision. Are Tylenol going to be enough? And some days they are, and maybe some days they aren't, but it's not like excruciating pain.
Right.
It's just not. It's a different kind of, it's just mostly humbling, relearning how to do things and behaving.
Yes, behaving.
Behaving. That was another thing I was afraid of. I'm like, uh-oh. And just because of our age, when I went in right off the bat, they said, hey, I know what your problem's going to be. Your problem's going to be that you're going to try and do too much too soon. You got that yeehaw, let's go attitude. You need to leave that at the door. And I was like, yeah, okay. But the first 3 days, I was like, oh, I got this. I was out. I was so tired. And I found out today from the nurse that visited that a lot of that has to do with not just the anesthesia leaving your body, but that you lose blood and you lose iron. So if you know people who are anemic and they feel sluggish and tired, she said that's a lot of what those first few days are like. So you're kind of tired and you're like, oh, this is okay. I'm not in any harm of overdoing it.
Mm-hmm.
But then on day 3 or day 4, when you get up and you think today's going to be a better day. And for me, it wasn't. And from what I've heard, day 3, 4, 5 are tougher than day 1 and 2, just because the anesthesia is clearing out. You're getting up, you're being more active. I had no swelling when I came out of the hospital. Day 1, 2, 3, I was, oh man, I look like a rock star here. Day 4, 5, I got up and started walking. My ankle, my knee, and my thigh just absolutely blew up. And I was petrified. I thought, do I have a blood clot? Nobody told me that that's very, very common. That activity, unless you really, really elevate it way more. I had a couple pillows under my leg, and the nurse or the PT was like, that's not elevation.
Right.
He had my leg up at an angle.
Above your heart.
And even more than that. So she said, exaggerate that. And so I did that. And then the swelling started to come down. And of course, icing, have more ice packs than you think you're going to need, because it's like 20 minutes on and 40 minutes off, but all day, every day for the first week at least, which is a pain in the butt. But so I've been trying to be good.
Well, you had good results with your PT today, and you did so. I
was strolling with my cane down the avenue.
That's it. Did your neighbor come out? The one.
The funny thing is, when she gave me those items, she was leaving to go on a cruise the next day. So this has given me time to just forget that conversation. But another neighbor called me down the street. I was walking towards her and I could see the neighbor who told me the deathbed story of the hip replacement. I could see her and I thought, oh, here she comes. So I turned around, got back to my house. I'll probably talk to her tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to tell her that she's now on a podcast, but
I'm sure she won't find this podcast. It's okay.
I didn't name names, so we're cool.
No, it doesn't. Yeah,
it's just that neighbor.
It could be anybody. Who knows? Right. Yes. Well, I only have a couple more things that I wanted to ask you before we we close this episode out. So, what are you excited to do after you're fully healed? What is there something that you're like chomping at the bit to do when you got have a full like, you're clear, everything's good, go back to whatever you're doing?
Definitely driving, which may be next week, like I said. And going, oddly enough, going to the gym.
Yeah.
It had become my happy place, and I didn't realize how much it did for me mentally until I couldn't go. And my trainer was texting me, asking me how, and it just made me so sad. I'm like, I want to go to the gym. And the other thing, this is so funny. I was right before my surgery. I went on vacation with my sister and brother-in-law and some other people, and we had kind of an impromptu dance party in this cabin. And I've got dance moves, and I'm saying that to you, and you're a professional dancer. But if you saw me dance, you'd be like, yeah, she's pretty good, you know? So my brother and I are out there, and I had to quit real early. And I just said, my hip is too sore. And then my sister-in-law said, next year when we do this, you're going to be dancing with the scars. And I was like, yeah, I'll be able to get my mojo back. I guess that's, you know what I mean? My swagger, my.
Oh, trust me. I can't my yoga practice. It's like it's completely I still do it, but it doesn't even look like I'm doing yoga because I can't my range of motion is so limited. So and it's painful. So
Yeah.
I get it. It's like and you're a mover and people that are movers physically and then you start to get limited, it fucks with your head. At least it's fucked with mine, literally.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, yeah.
Time. I identify so much with my physical self. That is, I didn't realize that until this. I was like, oh boy, okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I need to broaden other and deepen other parts of my personality.
No, I think
I'm like a gym rat.
no, I just think that's for anyone that's physical and enjoys movement, any type of discipline or movement, this is that makes us alive. It makes us happy. And I think
It does.
so what I want to say to other yogis that may be listening, youthful older yogis that may be listening to this podcast is that I'm still teaching yoga and you can still, and you can still teach after you get any new parts, you'll be a better teacher. And now, Wendy, you'll just have a deeper appreciation of everything. And you can also help other people that go through the same thing. Because
Yeah.
when you get back into the gym, you'll have to modify and do some variations here and there. And then incrementally, it'll all go back to your new normal,
Yeah. I look forward to that. That's
Yeah.
really, yeah. It's fairly new to me, but maybe like a year, but it really has become a big part of what I do in the day to day.
Yeah,
It's just fun. I crank up the music and
yeah,
it's just good mojo.
love it. Okay, and also looking back now, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but what is the most surprising thing or most amazing thing so far that you've gained from this experience?
That your body can, well, number one, that there's medical technology available to give you a hip that's like a virgin hip. Like that's number one. That's amazing to me. Number two, that they can do it fairly quickly and that your body will accept that foreign part and really start healing immediately. It's amazing. It really is. I think definitely the other thing that I'm grateful for and that I always thought I was grateful for, but just having people check in and send you stupid memes. I had this person that would every morning send me a meme of some lady with a walker. And then when I went to a cane, some lady with a cane, just stuff to make me laugh and like how resilient you can be and how you can change your mindset by focusing on trash TV, whatever it is, music. There's a way to get outside of the uncomfortability, go to a different place when you need to. And I think that helps with healing too. And just being also able to ask people, because people are going to say, MJ, how can I help you? I'm here, whatever. And just learning to be direct and go, what are you doing on Wednesday? I need an ice cream sundae. Can you do my laundry? And you always hear that, but it's so much easier to give help than ask for it. And so I did ask for help this week and received it, and gave that person a gift, I'm told, by asking. They felt good that they could help me.
Yes, people
So
want
that was a good lesson.
good, amazing.
I know. It's all good, MJ. It really is.
It's all good.
Asked me a couple days ago, it would have been different. But
Yeah,
really 2 days ago, I really turned the corner. I also had a friend give me a lymphatic drainage, very gentle massage. And I must say that I don't know if I would have been at that point in my recovery, and the next day would have been just better because I was a day, longer in the process. But I really feel like that was beneficial for me. I asked my doctor if it was okay. She said yes. Very light, gentle flushing of the lymph system. And I felt like that was great. And it was very hard for me to say to this person, yeah, I'll accept a free massage. I like to pay people for what they do, but it was really hard for me. But she said, I'd like to do this for you. And I said, okay.
yeah.
And
When you receive, you give as much as you receive. It's so reciprocal. So giving it.
that was a new one for me because I immediately would have sent her a gift card or Venmoed her. And it's like, no, if I did that, I would take away from what she was trying to do, which was just be a good friend and a good person.
Yes, I love
So,
it.
yeah.
All right. Well, stay with me, Wendy, for a second. I'm going to say goodbye to my listeners, but you stay with me, please.
Okay.
And again, I want to thank you, first of all, for sharing your journey. And just 2 weeks out, I'm really, really appreciative. And I'll be up in Rochester in a couple months, and I'll be dialing you to say, oh, can
I
you
will
drive?
be here. I will be here.
And again, I want to thank my listeners. Keep following me. The best place to go is to my website, shareyogawithmj.com, shareyogawithmj.com, and just subscribe to my newsletter. It's free. I only send them out maybe twice a month. But if you want to follow my Hip Chronicles, that's an easier way. I'll be writing blogs and doing more stuff there on my website. So, and yogis, this Hip Chronicles, I'm not sharing a mudra in this. I will continue my mudra sharing after my new parts are in. So thank you again for listening so much. And until we meet again, keep sharing yoga. Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening. Now you can go to my show notes on YouTube or Buzzsprout and send me a voicemail or email. I'd love to hear what topics you'd like me to speak about, what your thoughts are on the episodes, and maybe I'll share your message on a future episode. Please subscribe to my website, shareyogawithmj.com, so you can receive my newsletters and be first to know about my retreats, workshops, courses, and freebies. If you navigate on social media, you can find me mostly on Facebook and a bit on Instagram at Mary Jane Waddell. That's Jane with a Y, Jayne. This podcast would not be possible without the help of my editor, Dan Jones from Cocoa Beach Productions. You can find Dan at cocoabeachweb.com. And of course, thanks to my generous guests who share their time, insights, and youthful wisdom. Remember, the Youthful Older Yogi podcast is presented solely for educational, inspirational, and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for a physician or other qualified professionals. Okay, yogis, stay well, stay youthful, and keep sharing yoga.